Yo, what's good everyone? This is Yo Boxing from Adiba, and here's my post-fight review for Ryan Garcia versus Oscar Duarte. And this was a random ass fight. It was entertaining for sure, and kept me on the edge of my seat because I didn't know what to expect. But it was a strange performance by Ryan Garcia. I expected him to win by knockout, and knew it was going to be a competitive fight for him. But I didn't expect for the fight to go like that. A lot of people are saying that Ryan is a terrible fighter and hasn't improved, but I have to disagree with that. I think that Ryan is a vulnerable fighter that still has his flaws, but he showed improvement last night, which was impressive to me. Let me explain. The four improvements that I saw from Ryan last night was the active lead hand, use of movement, willingness to fight on the inside, and listening to his trainer. Ryan has always had a good jab, but it was underutilized in the past. But in this fight, his jab was very efficient. He probed, pawed, and framed with his jab, which was effective against Duarte's high guard. This allowed Ryan to maintain his range and made it hard for Duarte to close distance. It kept Duarte off balance and blinded him, and allowed Ryan to set up combinations that went around the high guard. And Ryan's use of lateral movement won him this fight. Duarte is a come-forward pressure fighter, but he needs to set his feet in order to punch. Due to this, Ryan's movement neutralized Duarte's offense, which then allowed Ryan to initiate his attacks and set up traps off his back foot. And this was something not seen in Ryan's style prior to this fight. But the most impressive thing to me was Ryan fighting in the pocket. Yes, that was a terrible Philly show, and it could have gotten him hurt, despite it somewhat working for him for those 2 rounds. But him fighting on the inside showed me that Ryan is not afraid of getting hit, which was a concern to me after losing the tank by knockout. But the most important thing was Ryan listening to his trainer, Derrick James. In the corner after the 6th round, you could hear Derrick James instruct Ryan to stop fighting on the inside and box, which Ryan did and led to him getting that knockout stoppage. This shows that Ryan trusts his new trainer and is willing to learn and listen. But even with those improvements, Ryan still is a vulnerable fighter. He was still making the same mistakes, keeping his hands down and away from his chin, throwing wild and wide hooks, underutilizing his right hand. His footwork is still not polished, and you can see that in his lateral movement. He took a lot of unnecessary steps rather than being efficient with his steps, and he had trouble with consistently punching while moving. And you can see clearly the vulnerabilities in his inside fighting and his defense, leaning back and turning away in the Philly show. That wasn't even a Philly show, more like a Cali clam. Ryan should definitely get away from using it because that could have gotten him hurt against a more skilled opponent. And Ryan definitely needs to stick with the game plan more because he even admitted it himself that him using the Philly show was going against Derrick James' wishes. And the fight being at a catch weight rather than at 140 is also concerning because that shows a lack of discipline or problem making weight. Overall, it was a very raw and unpolished performance by Ryan, but you can see the improvements. I fully expect Ryan to look better and more refined in his next fight. Ryan called out Rolly in the post-fight interview, and I thought that was a smart move. Rolly is the WBA champion and is the weakest champion at 140. Ryan is not quite ready for the elite names at 140, but Ryan wants to be a champion. This will be the perfect fight for both and an easy fight to sell. The only obstacle in the way is O'Hara Davis, as he's the current mandatory for the WBA and has no plans of stepping aside. But if O'Hara beats Rolly, then Ryan could still fight him because O'Hara is signed to Golden Boy, assuming that Ryan doesn't leave. Regardless, Ryan needs to stay active in order to get better because he has the talent. I fully expect him to fight an elite name at 140 later in 2024. But who knows, this is boxing, anything can happen. But thank you for tuning in with Yo Boxing from Adiba. Hit like and subscribe, and more content coming your way.